This is a swiftly moving and rapidly changing world, and in no field have changing conditions been more revolutionary than in transportation. In the automobile industry, great is the progress that has been made in manufacturing, but there is still much to be done in modernizing our merchandising. Many progressive Ford dealers have already successfully adjusted their operations to these changing conditions. In 1939, many Ford dealers had their most profitable year in the past 10. Let's see how they did it. We're going to have some of those dealers tell their own story in their own words, so you can listen to the men who are actually doing the job. Their methods are not necessarily intended as models for all dealers, but surely all of us can profit by their experiences. Suppose we begin with the mythical merchant we'll call Bill Williams, an average dealer in an average town. Like many others, he makes fair money and he does an average job. Bill is the owner of the hometown motor sales company, Ford dealer somewhere in America. And now, here is Bill at the end of a busy day.
Yes, dear. I know, dear. But, dear, if you don't... Alice, I'll never get home to eat that steak or anything else if I don't get some work done around here. No, I'm not cross. I guess I know when I'm cross. Goodbye.
Oh, come on now, Bill. It can't be as bad as all that.
Oh, it's you. Come in, Tom.
Well, I know you're busy, Bill, but...
Right up to here and work.
Well, I won't keep you a minute. I was just wondering if you had a chance to look over the analysis we made of your business.
Sure. I looked it over. I'll bet it surprised you fellas at the branch, didn't it?
In what way?
Well, considering conditions and everything, I think I did a pretty good job.
Oh, not so bad, Bill. Not so bad. Still, in a town like this, you should have made a lot more money. The business is there.
I'd like to know how.
Now, look, Bill, there's a lot of Ford dealers who are making a lot of money by selling a lot of automobiles.
Oh, you mean volume dealers. I've heard about those hot shots, and it seems to me they all end up behind the 8 ball sooner or later.
Yeah? Well, I'd like to land behind that same ball. Anytime a dealer can wind up with $50,000 to $75,000 in his sock, that's a pretty good way to do business.
What is there to this volume thing, anyway?
Only doing business in a modern way.
A modern way?
Mm-hmm.
What do you mean, modern? Haven't I a new front and a new sign? Neon, with 2 colors.
Yeah, but what about the inside? Your method of operating. Have you modernized it? Now, look, you know as well as I do that you can't run a business today as you did 10 years ago and expect to make big money.
Well, I'm making money.
But not enough, Bill. Not as much as you easily could make. Now, let's look back a little.
I can look back 17 years in this business, and that's quite a stretch.
Yes, and when you started Hometown Motors 17 years ago, you put a lot of punch and drive into it. Now, didn't you?
Bet your life I did.
Well, there are dealers after 17 years, or 20, or even 25, who are still stepping out and making a lot more money than you are.
Yeah? Who are they?
Well, here's some of them in this study of dealer operations.
Stewart, Washington. Lauder, Chicago. Holtzinger, yeah, I've heard of him. Walter McRae. Hull, Dobbs, Kensinger. All right. What have they got that I haven't?
Well, Bill, they're selling the same product that you are, with the same margin of profit, to the same sort of human beings against the same sort of competition.
Certainly they are. But how do they do it?
You know the same things they know about running a business.
Of course I do.
There's this difference. They're doing those things.
What things?
Well, Bill, you remember Mike going over this business management manual with you a few years ago?
Sure I do. That was the time you tried to get me to switch over to profit procedure or something like that, wasn't it?
Yes, but you didn't do it.
No, I didn't. Well, I figured it was just another way to get me to work a little harder.
Well, that may have been part of it, but not the main thing. For example, here's a form that we introduced about 5 years ago to show you just where you stand in every department every day.
Oh, yes, I do sort of remember. But it would take a lot of a man's time to keep it up, though.
Well, that wouldn't bother you if it meant more net profit, would it?
Well, of course, looking at it that way.
Every one of our more successful dealers, without exception, uses this or a similar form.
A daily operating control, eh?
Well, it's sort of a combination guide and scorecard that tells you each day just where you stand. However, no form or report will make the wheels go round. They simply show if they are going round.
That's the catch, my friend. How do you make those wheels go round?
Well, first, Bill, you set a definite income and expense objective for every department. Then you check each day to find out if that objective is being attained.
What if it isn't?
Your daily operating sheet will show exactly where you're off. Either you haven't adjusted your expenses or you're not getting enough volume.
Yes, it'd have to be one or the other.
Well, the main reason you're in business is to do business and make as much money as possible, right?
Absolutely right.
And you make the most money out of new car sales, don't you?
That's right.
Well, remember, your parts and service business is the byproduct of your new car business. You can't sell parts or service unless you or somebody else first sells a new car. So the first approach to our job is to build up our new car business. That's the only way to ensure the future success of your business as a whole.
That's the trick. How do you get that business?
Maybe your answer is right there in that story of how some of our more successful dealers operate.
Tom, are these fellas any smarter than I am?
I don't think so, Bill. And they haven't had any more experience than you.
And they have no better market.
Check on that, too.
Suppose you let me take this book. Maybe I'll have a chance to look at it tonight at home.
Okay, you're welcome to it. Well, I'll be getting along. Good night, Bill.
Oh, good night, Tom. Alice, could I have another cup of coffee?
I just poured you a fresh cup. Bill, I don't think you know a single thing you've had for dinner.
What? No, I've got a lot on my mind.
Isn't business good?
It's fair, but I'm not satisfied. Tom Phelps of the branch was in the office today, telling me about a lot of dealers that are making all sorts of money.
Well, if others can, so can you. Why don't you find out how they're doing it?
You know, if Tom... I think you've got something there. I haven't been away from my place in 5 years.
Of course you haven't, and you need a rest.
And I'm going to see for myself just how these fellas operate.
Why don't you?
What have they got that I haven't? Let's start to pack right now.
Us? You mean I?
Of course you're going along. Someone's got to do the resting on this trip. Alice, tomorrow morning we're heading out to look them over. Mr. Holsinger?
Yes, sir.
I'm Bill Williams, Ford dealer of hometown.
Glad to know you, Mr. Williams. Won't you have a seat?
Thanks.
How's your business?
I thought it was pretty good until I heard how some of you fellas operate. How do you do it?
Wait a minute, Mr. Williams. Do you want this information for the good of your business, or are you just asking out of idle curiosity?
Oh, no, Mr. Holsinger. I want to know for the good of my business.
Well, about a year ago, we checked up on our business. We found that competition was crowding us very keenly. We had a big stock of used cars, and we weren't making much money.
That all has a familiar ring to it.
Well, I made up my mind to do something about it. I got the branch's ideas, talked to several dealers that I knew was doing a good job. Then I worked out a plan that I thought would fit my condition.
When you switched over, what was the first thing you did?
The first thing was to set up a monthly quota for each department and strictly budget expenses. Now each evening we tabulate the results of every department on a daily operating control. In that way, we can tell immediately if any department is in the red. If it is, we go to work on that department at once.
In other words, you're set up so that if you do the volume of business you set out to do, you know that you're going to take care of all expenses.
Correct. And the higher we go beyond our set quota, the more money we make and the more liberal we can be in our trading.
Suppose you're taking a trade-in.
We figure what we can sell that car for quick, what the reconditioning cost will be, what the sales commissions will be on the new and used unit.
And if there's a little profit left, you accept the deal.
Correct. And if we can't, we tell the salesman what we will do. And then he really goes to work on the prospect.
How do you handle used cars?
As soon as they come in, we decide immediately whether they are to be wholesaled, junked, or reconditioned. If it's to be wholesaled or junked, we do it at once. If it's to be reconditioned, we don't do any more than we have to make the car safe and look good. Our used car quota is set up on the basis of the sale of 4% of our daily inventory. And we don't close up the place at night until we have done everything humanly possible to move that 4%. The price we put on the car is not necessarily what we'll finally take for it. And that goes for every unit on our lot. The selling price depends on whether the offer made will wash out with the profit and whether the used car has been on our lot over 30 days.
What effect has this change had on your operation?
Well, when I started this plan in 1939, we had 121 used cars in stock. 67 of them were over 30 days old. 16 of them were loaned out. You can't sell them if they're not on the lot. We stepped up our sales from 673 in 1938 to 1,129 for 1939, or a 68% increase. And we increased our net profits 75%. The nice part of it was that we ended up with exactly 38 used cars, only 9 of which were over 30 days old.
That certainly speaks well for your plan.
Come in, Johnson.
New customer. Mrs. Bryce sent her in.
Say, that's 3 hot prospects she's dug up for us in the past 6 months.
She's been a great booster ever since she bought her car. Tells her friends they got a better deal here than any other place in town.
Wait. Hold on a minute there. $365 too much for this car. I know it. You ought to get it for around 3 1/4. Say, I'll tell you what to do. See if you can't close this one out today at $335.
I'll do my best, boss.
By the way, Bill Williams, Ford dealer from hometown, Harry Johnson.
How do you do, Mr. Williams?
How do you do, Mr. Johnson? Tell me, how do you salesmen feel about this new plan of operation?
It certainly gives us an incentive to get out and sell. I'm making more money than I ever made.
Huh, sold a radio, eh?
The best time to sell accessories is when a customer is buying a new car.
And the more accessories you sell, the better chance of having the house accept the deal.
I've thought of that, too.
Have you any special way of developing prospects?
No special way. We make propositions to as many people as we can every day. We don't wait for them to come in, but we use handbills, bird dogs, blind ads, everything. And the boss has us concentrate on competitive owners to keep our used car stock balanced.
Say, if you're ever in hometown and need a job...
Hear that, Mr. Hotzinger? Thanks a lot, Mr. Williams, but I'm mighty happy right here in Tampa. Goodbye.
Goodbye. Good man, Johnson.
One of our best. He averages over $300 per month, has gone over $500.
I could use a few men like him. I could use a few boosters like that Mrs. What's-her-name, too.
We have people all over town doing our advertising for us, and as a result, in 1938, we spent $7.26 per car on used car advertising. And in 1939, we cut that way down.
From what Johnson said, I take it you let your salesmen make their own appraisals.
We don't believe in appraisals. What we actually have here are deals that have been written up, subject to our acceptance. The main thing is to have our salesmen sign up all the prospects they can on whatever terms necessary to get their names on the dotted line and bring them in, but teach them to be good traders.
Suppose I wanted to set up an operation like this. What's the most important thing to look out for?
The liquidation of used cars. Don't let anything keep you from getting rid of them, and you'll always keep the doors open to new car business. What I'm most interested in is not how much I've made on each individual deal, but how much profit I've got in the bank at the end of the year.
I'm grateful to you, Mr. Holtzinger. I've learned a lot.
How about having some lunch?
I'd like to, but I've got to get on to Jacksonville.
Jacksonville, eh? Be sure and visit Walter McRae at Duval Motors.
Still, about a year ago, we decided the honeymoon in this business is over. We really decided to go to work. Won't you have a chair, fellow?
Thanks. So what happened?
Well, we changed our plan of operation just as progressive dealers are doing it everywhere. Our plan calls for rigid control of expenses, also lots of hard work, in addition to a fair compensation for the salesman. Last but not least, we have a profit-sharing proposition for our 5 department heads. This puts every man to work and ensures us a good profit.
What about used cars?
Oh, I knew you'd ask about that. That's the easiest. Let's leave that to the last.
And are you satisfied with the new plan?
We are making money. The money's in the bank. Not in used cars, so you be the judge. I think there's more money to be made in the future Ford business than in the past. And that even includes the Model T days.
Seems to me that you fellas in the South have the advantage over the rest of the country with your year-round selling season.
Well, our experience was the same as dealers in other parts of the country before we changed over.
But your expenses must be considerably lower, aren't they?
At a meeting of the 100 car dealers last summer, I found some dealers who had a lower new car expense than I have. I'm going to bring mine down even lower, except the salaries and commission. In this type of operation, a lot more depends on management than climate.
Let me go over your figures again.
Fire away, fella.
You say you increased your new car business 100% over last year. How does that compare with other dealers?
I understand the increase is about 1/2 that amount.
And you made a $3,000 gross profit on used cars in 38 and lost $61,000 in 39.
Doesn't exactly sound like good news, does it, Bill?
And yet your net return in 39 was 4 times greater than it was the year before. It just doesn't make sense to me.
Maybe not, but it makes dollars and cents to me. A year ago in January, we sold 64 cars with a total expense of $13,500 and made $2,500 net. The same month this year, we sold 105 new units with a total expense of $12,500 and banked $6,500 net. We cut our used car stock 50 units, and there's nothing more convincing than cash in the bank.
It always convinces me.
Furthermore, our salesmen are earning more money, and the business is in a much more liquid condition. You see, we never lose sight of the fact that the primary reason we're in business is to sell more new cars and trucks, thereby building up our parts and service so that it will carry more of our total overhead. That's how we make our money.
But what about those used cars?
Oh, that's easy, fella. We'll get that at a later date.
Let me go over what you told me this morning. You forecast the coming month's sales and expenses. You set up an anticipated used car loss based on the new car gross you'll have. But what if you start falling behind in your projection?
When that happens, and it does occasionally, we offer extra money in the form of bonuses.
How do you work these bonuses?
We give cash bonuses to our men at their regular daily sales meeting. By the way, it's 1:30 and it's time for our meeting. Would you like to attend the meeting and see how it works in actual practice?
Yeah.
And fellas, the boss just told me we've got too much money in the bank. Right after this meeting, I want you all to go out and buy some used cars for him. Well, fellas.
Fellas, how many deals we got today?
One.
Sales manager, pay these fellas $5 for those 2 deals this morning. Now, this afternoon, fellas, every deal that you close and bring into the house, we pay $5 extra commission whether accepted or not. $10 for the first deal. What do you say to that?
Well, that certainly got action.
Well, that's just another way to keep them out bringing in the business. It also keeps them hanging around the showroom. We try to work all the angles. We put out a lot of offers each day, and they bring us in lots of good business. We have good results from individual dealer newspaper ads that carry post office box numbers. They advertise credit memorandums, used cars, and other demonstrators. We have our salesmen deliver every paid-up contract direct to the home, along with a letter of appreciation signed by me. They are excellent prospects for new cars right then and there. Their credit is already established, and their used car will usually make the down payment. I always make it a point of saying a few words to a customer when he takes delivery. Mr. Smith, let me thank you for this order for this car. I hope you enjoy the use of it. Say, please don't tell anyone how much money I gave you for the old car. Thank you much. To help move used cars, we run liner ads featuring units priced below the market. We also put on 1-hour sales of cars of the same year and model, all at one price. Customers to take their choice. We send out photographs of special body units or cars with special equipment,
and mail them to a selected list of owners.
It doesn't seem to me that you're doing anything here that we couldn't do back home. Still, my town is different.
If folks are still getting married in your town and eating regular, this plan will work in your town.
You mentioned about the increased earnings of your salesmen. How much do you pay them?
Well, let's go into my office and I'll show you. You'll see that they enjoyed a mighty sweet income. By the way, take a look at this. My 10 new car man averaged $78.16 per month per man for the first 10 months of 1938. And they averaged $190.61 for the first 10 months of 39. My 8 used car men received an average of $58.97 per man per month in 1938, and 39 their average is $129.75. And that doesn't include many juicy bonuses either.
How much of a drawing account do you give them?
I'll show you, and I think you'll agree it is very fair. My new car men have a drawing account of $25 a week. They are paid 6% commission on the net difference with a minimum of $25 per new car sold. Used car men have a drawing account of $20 a week with 6% on the net difference on retail sales.
What if a salesman doesn't earn his drawing account in any month?
The difference is charged off completely at the end of each month.
What about demonstrators?
We furnish every salesman with a car, including maintenance, gasoline, and insurance. It costs us $50 a month per man, but this investment pays big dividends.
You've certainly got a swell operation here. Of course, you've got things pretty much your own way. What if there were another Ford dealer in town?
Oh, but there is. Hal Lynch. He told me that he made more money in 1939 than he has in the past 5 years.
But what about those used cars? Is it time now?
Sure. We use a washout sheet that tells us our market exactly. The average deal will nearly wash out the high sales figure in most used car guides. With reduced overhead, we can sell our used cars below the market. The average dealer prices his cars so high, he's acquired the reputation of being a tight trader. I've found the best results have come from being under the market, and you couldn't buy the word-of-mouth advertising it has given me.
What kind of a guarantee do you give?
All used cars sold at retail carry a 48-hour money-back guarantee. We also give the purchaser a 30-day, 50-50 guarantee, based on the retail price of labor and parts. This to be paid for in cash. Our salesmen have the customer sign a receipt for the guarantee, which eliminates all misunderstandings.
How many do you have to give the money back to?
Out of 1,800 used car sales last year, we only had to refund 5.
What about reconditioning?
Well, our experiences prove that no matter what you do to a used unit, it's impossible to make it meet the specifications of a purchaser. We do as little as possible other than make them look right and safe for driving. And we don't let our salesmen make any ridiculous statements such as, this car has been completely rebuilt, this car has been driven by an elderly person and has very low mileage.
You've certainly given me a lot of ideas.
Just one more thing. We're in business for the long haul. Now, the average dealer starts out here with a fairly good circle of friends. And year after year, it grows smaller and smaller until eventually he's practically out of business because he's been dealing with his limited circle of friends and hasn't added any new blood. On the other hand, we started this plan early in 1939. And with the increased friends we've been making, we've constantly added new blood to our service and parts business. And if it continues to grow, I'll have to enlarge my service department. And as Chick Kinsinger once said to me, more new car sales mean more service and parts business and more net profit to the dealer.
That's my next stop. Hull Dobbs Kensinger in Memphis.
Pardon me, sir. Is this your car?
Why, yes. Why?
Well, I'll give you $300 for this car on a new Ford.
$300? It's worth more than that.
Would you take $350?
Nope.
Well, how much would you take?
I'm not interested in a new car.
Well, you would be if I could get you a lot more for your car than it's worth, wouldn't you?
Well, maybe. Who are you, anyway?
Well, I'm Jack Murray with Hull Dobbs Kensinger. Suppose we drive over and line up a deal.
Hold on there now. I told you I'm not planning on buying a new car now.
Well, just wait till you hear the kind of deal we'll give you on this car. We're really shooting the works today.
Well, I'm pretty busy right now.
Well, you take my car and I'll take yours. May I have your keys, please?
Not me. I don't want the responsibility
Well,
of
don't you think another thing about it? It's fully insured. Here are my keys, and That's it across the street there with the Hull Dobbs Kensinger name on it. Your keys, please, sir.
I don't like this idea of doing business on the street.
Well, tell me this. What color do you like? Gray, like your present car?
What color? Why, I haven't even decided to buy a car.
What kind of deal would it take to put you into a new Ford right now? Tell me that.
Well, in the first place, I've got to think it over.
Well, what kind of deal would it take?
Well, you'd have to do better than $350.
I see.
And the terms would have to be right, too.
Well, suppose you just sign up on that basis. Now, maybe the boss will accept the proposition, but as a matter of fact, you and I know this car isn't worth a dime more than 2.5.
Understand, I'm not obligated if you can't get me this allowance.
Oh, not a bit of it. That's simply your own offer. Now, you just sign it. And now it's up to the firm to say yes or no.
I want that clearly understood.
Well, just put down your phone number and I'll call you this afternoon.
And here are my keys.
Well, thanks a lot, Mr. Wallace. That's my car there.
Oh, that black one over there?
Yeah, that's right. Now, I know you're going to enjoy driving the new Ford.
Well, that's a good car, too.
Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah?
My name is Williams. I'm a Ford dealer. I just overheard what you said.
Well, how are you, Mr. Williams? My name's Murray.
You Memphis boys are pretty fast workers, aren't you?
Yes, sir, you gotta be. If you don't get them, somebody else will.
How did you happen to pick on that particular fellow?
Well, I figure this way. Everybody who doesn't own a new car would certainly rather be driving one than his present car. So that leaves only one thing to do. Get together with him on terms.
Why don't you call at his home instead of stopping him on the street?
Oh, I do that, too. I make a lot of calls. But this way I get faster action. I watch for people in cars that'll sell easily and make a down payment and then shoot them a proposition. You can tell pretty quick whether a man's interested.
I suppose you can.
And here's something else. When we spare them this way, we haven't given competition a chance to get at them. We're in on the deal all alone.
Surely they all don't work as well as this one.
Not all, but still I close 2 out of every 3 deals I sign up.
I heard you say you were with Hull Dobbs Kensinger.
Yeah, that's right.
I was on my way over to see how that outfit operates.
Well, come on, hop in. That is, if you don't mind riding in this. Boss, this is Mr. Williams, Ford dealer in hometown. Mr. Hall?
Mr. Hull?
Hi, Mr. Williams.
Mr. Dobbs.
Mr. Dobbs?
Hello, Mr. Williams. How
Would
are
you
you?
have a seat?
Thank you, sir.
I'll be seeing you, Mr. Williams.
Oh, good day, Mr. Murray. I've been hearing about this new operation of yours.
Well, you know the old saying, there's nothing new under the sun. The Ford Motor Company had a similar plan as this several years ago, but I suppose we were too bullheaded to see it.
Oh, you mean this volume procedure that the company has been talking about?
I guess that's what they call it. Anyway, that's the answer.
How did you come out last year?
We sold 2,100 new units in this dealership in Memphis. We made and drew out over $100,000. And we've averaged better than 200 new cars per month since the 40 came out.
I don't see how you stand the pressure.
Pressure? Pressure doesn't come from making money, man. It comes from not making it.
That's the beautiful part of it. It takes the pressure off of us and puts it on the people that are doing the trading. That is to say, the salesman and the prospect.
Sounds good, but will it work everywhere?
It has for us. We have 4 operations in towns ranging from 5,000 to 275,000 in population. And each one of them is making plenty of money simply because we have them on an up-to-date basis.
What do you mean up to date?
It simply means this, as I see it, whether you're in the automobile business or any other business. It takes a large volume of business with a quick turnover to make any money these days.
How do you get that volume?
Hello, Chick. Come in. I want you to meet Mr. Williams from hometown, a Ford dealer.
Hi, Mr. Williams.
How do you do, Mr. Kensinger?
He's the fellow who can tell you how to get that volume. He's really the man that put the spark in this operation.
Mr. Williams, will you excuse me? I've got to go to the bank, see if I can find a little money.
Oh, I'm going along, too. See if I can get mine.
Okay, boys. I hope you find some.
See you a little later, Mr. Williams.
Yes, Mr. Hull. I've been hearing about what you fellas are doing. It sounds good. I want to hear some more.
Well, our plan is very simple. First, we set up an accounting procedure so that we know exactly where we stand every day. We forecast expenses and cut out all red tape. Then we're ready to do business, and I mean new car business. Any dealer who forgets that new car sales are the backbone of his business is just off on a tangent.
How about your used cars?
If you sell 1 new car, you have $200 to work on. If you sell 100, you have $20,000. 500, you have $100,000. And If you sell 2,000, as we did last year, you have 400,000 to play with. You can handle a lot of used cars if you have the new car gross to do it with.
How do you get that new car volume?
The best way I know is to keep your salesmen enthusiastic by seeing to it that they make a lot of money.
Where do you get men like that?
Why, you don't get them anywhere. You make them. Why, our men are trained to do exactly as we tell them. Sign up the best deal they can, get some kind of a deposit, and bring it in. It takes constant hammering to train men to get something tangible, and they do it because we have proved to them that it works. And they make between $300 and $1,000 per month.
I was noticing that chart. Quite a record.
2 of the best men on there we took out of the shop last year. Another was a complete stranger in town who had never sold automobiles.
Your men sure must be an enthusiastic bunch.
That's half the secret of this job. Keep them that way by taking their deals. When a man doesn't have to worry about his living expenses, he doesn't try to bring in those cockeyed deals.
I never thought of it that way.
A lot of other dealers never have either. Now, another thing, we work on the basis that most people are pre-sold on the Ford before the salesman gets to them.
You mean through advertising and experience?
So we send out our men to talk about how little it will take to put them in a new car. There isn't a person in the world who wouldn't trade his car on a new one if he could get the right kind of a deal.
Yes, I saw one of your salesmen giving a prospect a workout like that. As I understand it, if you make enough propositions to enough people, you'll get plenty of deals that you can take profitably.
That's it, Mr. Williams. If my total net for the year is satisfactory, I'll let the statisticians worry about averages or how I came out on an individual deal.
But how do you keep your used cars moving?
Price. We don't think we have any better used cars than anyone else. But with the gross from our large volume of new car sales, we can put a better price on the used cars. And that's the thing that moves them.
I've heard that you wholesale quite a lot.
We do wholesale some. Our year-round average will run around 25%. But the big point is this. We do whatever the season or occasion requires to keep the used cars moving so that they never slow up or stop new car sales.
That's the big problem.
Sure, and it always will be. But if we do what we know is necessary, it isn't so tough.
How would you summarize those things?
First, sort your stock. Put your best units in one group, as is in another. Wholesale your wrecks and slow movers, and get rid of your junks at once. Then don't spend too much on reconditioning. Remember, price moves them faster than mechanical condition.
What next?
Selling. Excited selling. Done by alert, well-paid salesmen. Men you can trust. Men who know their business. The cream of your crop. Men you have trained to be good traders.
How do they sell them?
Our new car men sell them just as they do new cars, contacting a lot of people every day in person, by phone, through use of postcards and spectacular ads. And we've trained them to switch to a used car whenever the prospect can't afford a new one. When you came in, you probably noticed a list of names painted on the window. Those are names of our salesmen, and every one of them represents the sale of a new or used car that has been made since the start of business this morning. Just one more thing. Always trade toward fast liquidation of your stock. Every trade we make is designed to put us in position to liquidate immediately.
That's great stuff.
I'm glad you feel that way, but as I said to a dealer the other day, our agreeing is one thing, taking action is another.
Well, Mr. Williams, think we're never coming back?
I've been finding out how to get up to date in this business.
You've got the answer right there. Get up to date. We sold Model Ts too, but we'd hate to try to do business that way today.
Everything we do is directed towards selling more automobiles. Why, every one of our salesmen has from 5 to 20 unapproved orders in his pocket. At any time we want more business, all we have to do is okay the orders.
It's been mighty nice of you gentlemen to give me so much of your time.
Not at all, Mr. Williams.
And when you get back to hometown, keep your feet on the ground. Don't let this thing get complicated. All you have to do is sell all the new cars you can. Keep your expenses under control and get rid of the used cars.
That's right. Go back and make what's been a hard job an easy one. Get some fun out of this business.
Thanks again, gentlemen. Now I'm going to drop in on Raymond Pearson at Houston, Texas.
So, Mr. Williams, you see this daily operating control plays a big part in our operation. but it's the direction you put behind it that produces the results. The form won't do it.
Then you'd say, Mr. Pearson, that management is one of the most important factors in the business.
Absolutely. Being on top of every department, every expense, and every deal, every hour of the working day.
That's a pretty tough job, isn't it?
Not if you use your time intelligently. I'd rather work hard enough to make $50,000 in 1 year than work 5 years to make the same amount. Wouldn't you?
Say, that's a new slant. But how do you make money like that?
I believe any dealer can step up his volume and make more money if he will just give this business the same kind of management any business requires today to make a real success of it.
My big problem is to know which deals I can afford to take and which I should pass up. We're turning down more stuff than we're writing, but I have a hunch some of it'd be all right if there was only some way of knowing where to draw the line.
We're faced with making that same decision day after day, and we find the answer right here in this daily operating control. We know from this record exactly what it costs us to open our doors every morning. In our case, our expense runs $600 a day. And we can count on $350 a day net income from our parts and service department. This leaves us $250 in the red. It doesn't make any difference how we offset this. One $250 profit deal or three $85 profit deals.
That's logical, but I still don't see how you qualify a particular transaction.
Your gross profit on a deal is about $200, and your new and used car commissions will run about $50. This leaves $150. In some cases, you can salvage most of that. In others, there won't be much left. But by knowing at all times how much there is in the kitty, you can pretty well tell whether or not you can take the doubtful deal.
How does it work out?
Well, let's take a look. Here's my sheet for last month. We estimated $600 a day for 25 working days, or a total of $15,000. The actual total was $14,685, or just about 2% less than our estimate.
I wonder if I'd be able to hit it that close.
Well, you'll never know until you try. But there's nothing mysterious about it. The boys at the branch will be more than glad to help you.
Yes, they already offered to, but I figured it was a waste of time.
Well, I'll say this. I'd never try to run a business without it.
Well, I thought it would take too much time, but I can see now that it's needed to do business today.
Understand, Mr. Williams, we don't claim to have any panacea for the ills of this business. We do think it's the best business in the world for anyone who half tries. It's been powerful good to me, and 1939 was the best year I've had in the 24 years I've been a Ford dealer.
Well, it's really been an inspiration to talk to you, Mr. Pearson.
Well, I've enjoyed meeting you. Where do you go from here?
I'm heading north to Oklahoma City. Well, that's very interesting. As you just described your setup, Mr. Jones, it's about the same that I've found at other places. But I understand that you've been operating on a volume basis for a good many years.
That's right. We've got a big investment here, and it takes big volume to operate it profitably. So we're always driving for more business.
I presume you found it profitable to go after that big volume?
Indeed. Last year we netted 3.5% on our total gross sales.
3.5%? That's quite remarkable. How many cars did you sell?
1,297 new and 1,741 used.
That's a pretty low ratio, about 1.5 to 1. Do you wholesale many?
Oh, about 18%. But the thing that has the biggest bearing on that ratio is our quick liquidation of the second trade.
You must have rolled them out to sell over 3,000 units last year. Say, how big is Oklahoma City anyway?
Around 195,000, and there are 3 Ford dealers here. And this year, I'm geared up to sell 1,600 new cars.
You must have a whale of an organization to do that kind of a job.
I have. I pay them well, and the department heads all know that if they get results, there'll be substantial bonuses at the end of the year.
I can see now that I've got to make some changes to bring my operation up to date.
Now you're talking sense. The first step in becoming up to date is realizing that you're out of date.
I'm going to remember that.
When you get back home, just keep doing the things you've found from experience will get the job done for you.
I'm glad to know you don't have to start from scratch.
Of course you don't, but you've got to be progressive. Take the bull by the horn and face the things that keep you from making money.
What are they?
Low new car volume, high selling costs, slow used car turnover. Those are the things that eat up your profit.
How do you handle them?
Well, we stepped up our new car volume by accepting a lot of deals, Remember, a dealer is one who deals and deals now.
I wouldn't dare take all the deals my men bring into me.
I found you just can't tell by looking at them. Sometimes a deal that looks bad on paper washes out the most profit.
I see. And what about selling costs?
It naturally comes down when you increase your volume because it's spread over a greater number of deals.
That's encouraging, Mr. Jones. But what about those used cars?
You can get faster used car turnover by selling at lower prices.
Sure, anybody can do that.
That's right, but you can afford to sell at lower prices because you have more gross to work on as a result of greater new car volume and lower selling costs.
But what does this do to your used car losses?
They increase plenty, but used car losses are only half the picture. The important thing is how you wind up the year. We lost 3 times as much on used cars last year as we did the year before, but we made 5 times as much net profit, and we ended up with the lowest used car inventory in years.
I'd certainly be satisfied if I could do that.
You can, if you speed up new car volume and keep your used cars moving. Let me tell you what happened as I returned from lunch today. Where'd you dig up that clunker?
Well, it was this way, Skipper.
Well, it's this way now. Get it out of here.
Yeah, but I just traded it in on a 37 Ford. I told the customer.
Well, I'm telling you, don't shut off that motor and keep going.
Well, what'll I do with it?
You know what to do with it. Turn it into cash.
Oh, but Skipper.
No buts about it. Get that jalopy out of here and bring back their money. Get going.
That's keeping them moving.
They know our policy. Never let the sun set on a trade down or junker.
No wonder you have such a clean-looking stock and a fine assortment of popular makes, too.
One reason for our big volume is because we go after other makes. Last year, about 36% of our new car trades came from this field.
36%? How did you ever swing that many over?
Every morning, we tell our salesmen how many new cars we must sell that day. We also give them a list of make and model of used cars we need to balance our stock. And they know we'll go the limit on these particular types. You can't build for the future if you live off of your own fat all the time.
You evidently think pretty well of the future of this business, because I understand you've opened up another Ford dealership in Tulsa.
I certainly do. And the best proof of that is that someday I hope to turn over this business to my son. My great ambition is to pass on to him a growing, healthy business operated along modern merchandising lines.
That's a fine ambition, Mr. Jones. Listening to you makes me mighty proud to be in this business. And I sincerely hope everything works out just the way you planned it.
I certainly hope so.
What highway do I take to Louisville?
U.S. Highway 66. And be sure and call on Louisville Motors while there.
I intend to. Mighty nice of you to show me around, Mr. Grooms. I must say there seems to be plenty of activity here. That's usually a good sign.
And yet 2 years ago, we'd about decided to go out of this business.
Is that so?
You see, we never seemed to be able to take any money out. We built up a fairly good profit in the spring, but then dropped most of it trying to get rid of our used cars in the fall.
Isn't that generally true of this business?
No, sir, not anymore. Now we make a good profit, and we take it out every month in cash.
In cash, eh?
You bet your life. We used to end up each year with some $60,000, $70,000 worth of used cars and our bank account shot. But we've changed that picture, believe me.
How did you do it?
We've learned by bitter experience that it's a lot more profitable to turn those used cars fast, even at a greater loss, than to hang on to them and lose your shirt.
That must eat up your new car profits mighty fast. Seems to me that's just trading dollars.
Why, not at all. Nothing is really profit unless you can put it in the bank. Why, we used to throw away more good money nursing these used cars along trying to get high prices from them would ever lose under this plan.
A man need never worry about money in the bank depreciating.
There's more to it than that. As we reduce our used car stock, we cut out unnecessary porters, mechanics, and supervision because of lower inventories. We also trim our insurance, maintenance, and demonstration costs.
Those items don't amount to much.
True, but you'd be surprised how they mount up. Put them all together and you'll find they're a big part of any dealer's overhead. Besides that, you always feel on top of the job when your stock's going down.
I guess you're right. But doggone if I know how to get rid of them.
Above everything else, don't forget the importance of price. When you're putting a tag on a used car, make it read what that car is actually worth. Forget what you paid for it.
I'll try to forget it. But I'm going to remember everything else you told me.
Here's one thing more. Maybe I can best explain the difference between your operation and mine in this way. Take this watch. If you streamline the case, that isn't enough. You've got to modernize the works. It's the same with our business. You can modernize the case, improve your building with chromium and neon signs. It won't mean much if you don't modernize your operation, unless you streamline the works.
Streamline the works. That's a fine comparison. One that I'm always going to recall every time I look at my watch. That reminds me, I've got to get going.
Boy, is your trip about over?
I'm planning on making a stop in Chicago, and then I'm heading for hometown.
Once again, Bill Williams hears from the lips of another successful Ford dealer the inspiring story of a rejuvenated operation. This time, in the second largest city in the country, the story of increased new car sales that made possible faster liquidation of used cars and resulted in greater net profits. From coast to coast and from the Great Lakes to the Gulf, progressive dealers and communities large and small could tell the same story, because they too have met the challenge of present-day conditions, have adopted an aggressive attitude toward their business, and set up a modernized sales operation that returns earnings far beyond the average and builds solidly for the future. If Bill had visited these dealers, he would have found that all of them have changed their basic plan of operation, and that all of them have profited by the change. A summary of the operations of some of the more progressive Ford dealers shows that in 1939, they increased their new car sales 96% over the previous year. To do this, they increased their trading loss $48 per new car sold. And they ended the year with 144% increase in net profits and with smaller used car stocks. In his mind are these impressive results as Bill Williams heads for hometown.
Well, back to work.
How do you think you're going to find things?
Honestly, Alice, I don't know.
You must have picked up a lot of ideas.
Plenty.
I suppose you'll be making some changes?
I certainly intend to. We've got to start doing a better job. As of this morning.
The first step in becoming up to date is realizing you're out of date.
It's a lot more profitable to turn your used cars fast than it is to hang on to them and lose your shirt.
Be on top of every department, every expense, and every deal, every hour of the working day.
Get rid of 4% of your used cars each day, and you will always keep the doors open to new car business.
Selling, excited selling, done by alert, well-paid salesmen.
Remember, you're in a new car business. That's where you make your money.
We sold Model Ts too, but we'd hate to try to do business that way today.
Takes a big volume with a quick turnover to make any real money these days.
Welcome back, Mr. Williams.
Where did these all come from?
Oh, there's some jalopies we traded down for. Those 3 over there are repossession.
What are we keeping them for?
Why, you told us to.
Yeah.
You said they represent a good part of our profit.
Yes, I guess I did.
Frankly, Mr. Trevor, we can't allow you a dime more on your old car.
You mean you won't do it? You could if you wanted to.
We simply can't afford it.
Oh, now, look here. Do you know what we're doing? We're haggling over a difference of $20. I tell you what I'll do. I'll split with you. Make it $10 more and it's a deal.
I just can't do it.
You could if you wanted to.
Sorry, folks, but after all, we've got to make a profit. We're not in business for our health, you know.
Oh, come on, George. You know very well he could do it if he wanted to.
Well, if that's the way you feel about it, okay. But there are plenty of other dealers I can do business with.
No sale, huh?
No.
How much did the guy want?
Another $10 would have swung it.
Tough luck.
Rankin. Oh, Rankin.
Why, Mr. Williams.
Let me have the statement of last month's business.
Well, Mr. Williams, I'll tell you.
Well, this is the 17th of the month. You mean to tell me that last month's statement isn't ready yet?
As a matter of fact, it isn't quite ready, but I could have it for you tomorrow or the next day.
Never mind now. Tell the department heads to come in here. Reynolds, Fowler, Kane, Whitford.
Yes, sir.
Glad to see you back, Mr. Williams.
Hello, Reynolds. You don't know how glad I am to be back.
They're coming right in.
How are you, Mr. Williams?
Oh, Kane, Whitford.
You're looking well.
I'm fine.
Hope you enjoyed your vacation.
Everything was swell. Sit down, boys.
Thanks.
I haven't been on a vacation, as you may have thought. I've been calling on some darn good Ford dealers who've shown me what it takes to do business today. And they're not doing anything that we can't do here. We're going to put this place on a business-like basis. And this is the way we're going to start. We're going to set up a definite job for every department. And we're going to know each day just where we stand. We're in business to do business. And everything is going to be directed towards selling more automobiles. And remember, it's new cars that give us our profit and help build the future for parts and service. The sales board doesn't look so hot.
That's right. The boys are complaining. They say that...
I can imagine. But from now on, we're going to be easier to do business with. Tell Henry to call up that prospect he had a few moments ago and close the deal.
Gosh, he'll be glad to hear that.
Fella, we're going to get together and see if we can work out a plan to get rid of our used cars. I've got a lot of ideas. First, we decide what we're going to do with every unit the moment it comes in. We'll get rid of the junkers quick, wholesale the wrecks and stickers, and cut out all unnecessary conditioning. Make the cars we're going to sell look good, and then price them to sell.
That's great, boss. Now we can go places.
Kane, you and I are going through the shop today and see if we can cut out a lot of red tape. Then we'll see what we can do about building up more parts and service business.
We can do it, boss. I'm sure of it.
Well, boys, that's part of it. We're going to cut expenses all along the line. When we get this thing moving, it'll mean more money for all of us. I know we can do it, so let's get started.
Okay, boss. We're on our way.
Right now. I've got an idea.
Mr. Trevor? Henry Olson, Hometown Motors. I've got some good news for you. The boss says it's a deal. That's right.
I beg your pardon. Is this your car? Hello, Mrs. Trevor.
Oh, hello.
Where's George?
He's across the street.
Got a new car?
You bet we have. Good looking, isn't it?
I'll say it is.
We got it at Hometown Motors. They're great people to do business with.
I'll remember that. Well, good morning,
Goodbye.
Mrs. Trevor.
I'll tell George I saw you.
That's fine work, Henry. I'll take that deal. And another one just like it.
Thanks a lot, boss. Oh, Henry. Hello, Mr. Phelps. Bill?
Come in, Tom.
Thanks. Well, Bill, how was the trip?
First rate, Tom, first rate.
Yeah?
The more I see of this country of ours, the better I like it.
Yeah. Did you call on any dealers?
Oh, I talked to a few.
Here you are, Mr. Williams.
Good for you.
Don't tell me that's the daily operating control.
Why not? I've been thinking of putting this in for some time.
Well, I never thought I'd live to see
Got one, boss. That's swell, Frank. Here you are.
Thanks. I may be coming back for another before the day's out.
I promised the boys an extra 5 for every used car deal today.
Well, how did you happen to... What in the... What's that?
Oh, just a new idea of mine.
Yeah?
Every time one of the boys makes a sale, he writes his name on the window. It's good advertising. Everybody likes to go along with the winner.
Well, so you certainly look like a winner this morning.
It's going to be like this every morning from now on.
Bill, about a month ago, you and I were talking about progressive dealers. And you said, what have they got that I haven't? You remember?
Yes, I did. Why?
Well, now I know the answer. Bill, they haven't got a thing.